Have a read through it, support that amendment, because otherwise, if you don't, you will just prove everything that I've said at this dispatch box. It is not about compassion, it is about control. You do not care about solving poverty in this country.
Now I call upon Councillor Simon Morrall to move the second amendment.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. I rise to move the amendment in my name, Councillor Simon Morrall for a Frankly Great Park ward in South Birmingham. I think everybody in this room would agree poverty is a scourge on society and everybody wants to solve it, some more than others. I grew up by a single mother on the fourth floor of a block of flats on Turves Green. Aylesbury House, it was called. It's not there anymore. It's been pulled down. I still remember the smell of the urine-stained lift, the syringes by the front door, and the burnt-out first floor. Lord Mayor, I became a Conservative not despite being raised on a council flat. I'm a Conservative precisely because I know what it's like to live in a council flat. We ended up in the flat through bad luck. My mum didn't let this affect us. She spent months decorating it to make it look nice. That was our home. My mum worked her entire life. She was born in Hockley, raised in Winston Green, before moving to Wheatley as a teenager. She had to bring her own brothers and sisters up on her own, and she understood what real poverty was, and she wanted to ensure that we never went through the same thing. Lord Mayor, I am not a Conservative despite being raised by a single mother. I'm a Conservative precisely because I was raised by a brilliant single mother. I remember waking up every morning, running down a cold hallway to jump in front of the fireplace, getting the 49 bus that was always late, so I'd walk to school anyway. In 2002, we moved to a housing association in Rubery, and I was still late for school, even though I was right opposite. I remember going to school and getting free school meals and being in the queue and liaising with other people who were getting free school meals about what classified as middle class. You know, those kids that would come back every year from holiday, who've been to Disney World. We never went on holiday. We never had that. Lord Mayor, as a Conservative, I know fundamentally that it is people and the community that make the difference in this world. Not the state, not this council, not the government. During COVID-19, I spent most of my time helping out at the local food banks, reaffirming the view that community groups are the best placed to serve and to help, especially in food poverty. And surprisingly, one Labour councillor actually mocked me for doing this. He since apologised, and I accepted that. But let's not beat around the bush here. The idea of the Labour Party, frankly, trying to solve poverty, for me is like a tobacco company trying to solve cancer. It's an oxymoron. You only need to look at every area Labour run and you will see them weaponising poverty for political gain. In many cases, it's not about compassion, it's about control. During the local elections in 2018, I had to stand outside school gates in Franklin and explain to parents the lies about free school meals, that 50,000 more kids were entitled, when the Labour Party tried to claim that 1 million people were being taken out of it. Those 1 million people, that was because of a change in universal credit that made, you know those middle class kids I was talking about? They were entitled to free school meals. So we had to bring it down to ensure that it was fair and balanced. In 2019, in the general election, Labour lied again about the cost of living. Sky News actually had to fact check that.
Next, energy. Labour say average bills have risen by £68. But again, add inflation, in real terms, bills have fallen. The same goes for water bills, which Labour say have gone up by £75, but in real terms, they've fallen. Labour say, should they win power, they'll save the same household over £6,700. But this is not an average family. Only 5% of people use a train more than 3 times a week, which means it would be highly unusual for a family to have 2 season ticket holders, while Labour's childcare calculation, as we've seen, is unreliable, and it would only help those with a child under 4.
But the biggest lie of all that really makes me angry as somebody who's brought up in poverty is when you mislead figures on poverty by claiming that 1/3 of children live in poverty. This has been done, and I've got the figures here, and this is from Full Fact. This is called relative poverty. Basically, it is 60% of median earnings in this country. So if the country gets richer and you earn less than 60%, you will be classed as living in poverty. To give you another analogy, if we had a city full of billionaires, millionaires would be living in poverty. Does that sound like a realistic way of measuring poverty in this country? No, it doesn't. It is ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. Prevention is better than cure. If you give a man a fish, you'll feed him for a day. If you give him a fishing rod, you will feed him for life. If you're the Labour Party, give him somebody else's fish and he will vote for you in an election. To quote your own MP, the Labour Party have cared more about pulling down statues this last year than raising the aspirations of the people that I represent. Your MP said that, and he was a Muslim, so don't you dare call me racist. Thank you very much. It is people like me who used to vote for the Labour Party. And as much as you hate everything that I'm saying up here, you need to reach out to people like us. And I want to ask you, stop lying about poverty. Stop manipulating the figures. Stop doing it. You do it all the time.
Please. I think.
And I'm going to ask you to back our amendment today, which says that the Council notes that the government already recognises the United Nations Interventional Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, which includes the fundamental right to be free from hunger. Have a read through it, support that amendment, because otherwise, if you don't, you will just prove everything that I've said at this dispatch box. It is not about compassion, it is about control. You do not care about solving poverty in this country.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.